What's up guys, CJ here and welcome back to another all-new Hybrid Network movie review. This time, the wait is over. The Last Jedi is here, and I was fortunate enough to review episode 7 for HN back in 2015, and now almost 2 years to the day, I'm lucky again to review episode 8 too. First things first, this is going to be a spoiler-free review, no plot points discussed specifically, and none of the twists, turns, and reveals spoiled, and for that, we'll probably have a spoiler talk sometime this weekend, but that brings me to a couple of pieces of advice I have for you before watching the movie. Number 1, don't spoil the movie for yourself. Believe me, I know how tempting it is, but trust me when I say it is absolutely worth it going in as blind as possible. The trailers show you absolutely nothing, and to prove a point, I had one major point spoiled for me, and it was still a great reveal in the theaters, but it kind of took the wind out of the sails a little bit. The best way I can possibly describe it is, this is the closest that a Star Wars experience for me has ever come to what I imagine sitting in the theater for the original trilogy felt like. It's that good. Don't ruin it for yourself. Piece of advice number 2. In the words of Luke Skywalker in this film and in the last trailer, this isn't going to go the way you think. Forget everything you think you know about this movie. Forget what you want to happen. Forget what you think will happen. Trust me, it's not going to. I see far too many people getting upset that their pet theories about this film didn't come true, and that's coloring the way they view the movie, and it shouldn't. It's a shame. Something not happening the way you wanted isn't the movie's fault. Now down to some pros and cons. From the standpoint of objective quality, from the technical, visual, script, and acting-wise, this is Star Wars on another level. It is probably objectively the best film since The Empire Strikes Back. Visually, it's like a breath of fresh air, a cold beer on a hot summer day. Rian Johnson made this his own with a unique visual style and flair that feels like nothing so far that we've seen from this franchise, but it still feels like Star Wars, which is an amazing job done and a Herculean task that they pulled off. From an action perspective, this movie has everything that you'd want from a Star Wars film and more, including probably my new favorite space battle sequence to date and one of my new favorite lightsaber sequences of all time, behind maybe only Obi-Wan vs. Anakin in Revenge of the Sith and Luke vs. Vader in Return of the Jedi. I also feel like this is the best written as well as the best acted Star Wars film we've seen in a long time. Really, across the board, I think all of the performances were at the very least extremely solid, and that average is weighted heavily towards really good. Mark Hamill is spectacular as Luke Skywalker, and I can safely say this is the best performance he has ever given in this role, and yes, that includes the original trilogy and his muted performance in Episode 7. He said in interviews that he was initially uncomfortable with the direction of his character in this film, but if it took uncomfortable to get this, then it was absolutely worth it. I can only assume that anyone who calls him too grumpy has really never understood or even felt grief. Brace yourselves, though, the second best performance in this film was from Adam Driver, and now, I'll tell you honestly, I wasn't sold on Kylo after The Force Awakens. I felt like he wasn't ever as menacing as he was supposed to be, and for wanting to be Vader, he was only ever slightly better than the worst parts of Anakin from the prequels. But in this movie, he took it to an entirely new level, and it makes you appreciate The Force Awakens a little more, both in general, this film does, but also with respect to what Kylo is really going through in this movie. Daisy Ridley, great as always, but she was a little more understated in this film. It's like they heard the concerns about her being a Mary Sue, about her being too powerful, and they kind of, I don't want to say dialed it back a little bit, but she feels much more restrained in this film, and it was a great job by her. And Oscar Isaac did a great job as well. I always enjoy him. His arc had me scratching my head throughout the movie, but ultimately at the end you see the bigger picture, you see what they were going for. And I can't go without mentioning Carrie Fisher. She delivered another really spectacular performance, even above and beyond her turn in The Force Awakens, and it really doesn't hit you until after the movie that she's gone, and this is going to be her last outing, her last time in this role. My biggest issue with the film is the little adventure that Finn, John Boyega, and Rose, Kelly Marie Tran, go on pretty much right in the middle of the movie. It's that I kind of feel that need to have all these characters doing something to contribute to the plot, and they do contribute to the plot, but it kind of bogs this movie down in the middle. It is not the most streamlined story in the world. There will be a moment in the film when you think it's winding down and coming to a close, only to realize that, nope, there is still a good chunk of the movie left. And that being said, the payoff is there, both in the end and with really great moments throughout the film. Last little nitpicky thing about the movie, there is a moment with Leia in the film that took me right out of it. I love Leia, I love Carrie Fisher, but it kind of makes you just sit in your seat and go, huh. It's an awesome moment, I guess, and it makes sense in the context of the universe, but it was one of those where it just was like, okay, all right, whatever. Lastly, some overall thoughts about the film. Without giving anything away, it kind of feels like Rian saw where JJ intended for the franchise to go and said, no disrespect my dude, but we're doing a complete 180 here, we're taking it in a completely different direction. He did repay it to JJ though by basically setting him up in such a way that he can really go anywhere with episode 9 just from where this movie ends. It is remarkably self-contained. A lot of people have called this movie the best since Empire Strikes Back, a comparison that gets thrown around literally every time there's a new Star Wars film. And I did see some critics dare to go farther and say that this is better, which to me is simply not true. That is borderline blasphemy. That is one of the greatest films of all time, and while this is really, really, really good, I would say great even, it's not that great. This is, though, the first time I can say with certainty that this is the best film since Empire Strikes Back, even though it doesn't reach its level of greatness, maybe because nothing ever will. To me, this movie jockeys for position with Return of the Jedi, and ultimately comes in third, right behind Empire and the original. Overall, I'll give Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi an 8.5 out of 10. It was a great film, first and foremost, but it was also a great Star Wars film that will make your jaw drop so hard, so many times, your socks will just be blown clean off. Let me know what you think if you saw it, and if you're confused by the ending, check back a little bit later for our ending explained video. But that's going to do it for me here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to smash that like if you like what you just saw, subscribe for more great content every single day, and consider turning on your notifications to be alerted every time we upload a new video. For even more content, check out our website at hybridnetworkyt.com, and if you love HN and want to take your support to the next level, consider donating to us on Patreon as we strive to bring you the best content possible. Signing off, this is CJ, and I'll see you next time.